What's up, guys? Hot Takes Gabe here for the NFL Week 2 recap. So, full disclosure, I did record a preview this morning. It did not upload for whatever reason, but I did put on the podcast feed. Um, Now we're going to go through the scores, and we're just going to start with where we just ended. Arizona 29, Las Vegas 23. The Cardinals were dead. Like, they were a dead bird on the street. And then they scored 29 points in the second half. If you're the Raiders, you should be embarrassed if for no other reason you had a perfectly fine coach last year. Man got you to the playoffs. And you ditched him for this Josh McDaniels guy. Like, why? Like, what has Josh McDaniels ever done to be like, yep, that's the coach we need? Like, do you think he learned that much in New England? Like, let's be honest. I don't. Like, nothing about the Patriots offense last year made me think, yep, he's ready. No, he's not really ready. Like, they scored 3 points in the second half. You have the best wide receiver in the game, and you scored 3 points in the second half. Like, from what I saw, he caught two balls, like, two, when the game mattered. Like, how do you do that? You have to try to do that. And then Hunter Renfro, always open. I will give him credit for that. He just fumbled the football, and you are just completely unafraid to throw him the ball again. And you know what? Yeah, we here now. All right, so the Raiders are fourth place in the division. They probably gonna be fourth place in the division. I don't have any faith in them at all. Their defense. I mean, they're in a conference where everybody has firepower. They're the one team that has firepower, but you still don't trust them at all. Like, it's probably gonna be like that for the rest of the season because they may or may not be good. But good for Kyler. He finally like proved to us that he didn't prove to us he has talent. Yeah, we always knew he had talent, but like we didn't expect him to win on a day where like some Call of Duty joint come out. Like, congrats to him for proving us wrong. Jets 31, Browns 30. If you're the Browns and it's y'all could have been 2-0 for the first time in like ever. And they just like they got right to the finish line and were scared of black and white tape. That's the only way I can describe it. Like, y'all, they played a great game. I even said earlier like this is gonna be a blah game, but like it wasn't. It was actually fun. They scored points, and the Browns were winning. The Browns were doing very well, and then the dam fell. They got beat by Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco could barely beat the Ravens, and we gonna get to the Ravens, but like Joe Flacco could barely beat the Ravens. Wait, no, he didn't beat the Ravens. He could barely like do damage versus the Ravens. So if you're the Browns, you're gonna have to have a conversation about some things in terms of the defense. The offense actually looked fine. Like Jacoby Brissett, like didn't he wasn't the reason they lost. We can say that, which is good for them because we always thought Jacoby was gonna be the reason that they lost. So for him not to be the reason is great. And Amari Cooper played well, and Nick Chubb played well, and everybody played well on the offense. And then the dam fell, like the dam broke, and the Jets won. So congrats to the Jets for winning a game without your like star quarterback, and it kind of makes me think I don't know if you guys would have won that game if Zach Wilson would have played. A lot of things like I think a lot of this could go a lot worse if Zach Wilson were the one playing. But congrats to them. They played well. They scored 31 points. That's more points than I thought they'd score in a whole month, if I'm being honest. Because, like, not to take away from a certain level of ineptitude that they have, but they're the Jets, and you always kind of think they're inept. Commanders 27, or Lions 36, Commanders 27. I kind of felt like this was the Lions game to win because like the Commanders played the Jaguars. Although, maybe the Jaguars are kind of good, we don't know. But like they didn't have control of that game. They floundered it away. The Commanders went into the second half with like a big goose egg and then somehow scored 27 points cuz that's Carson Wentz. He only plays when there's no consequences. So, like last week, he got to a big lead. Second half, there's no consequences. He can dick around. And then we have this game where they're down 22-0 going into the second half. And, no consequences. So I can just go out here and dick around. And, that's the Carson Wentz way. And it got me a lot of fantasy points. It's just, my team was off. Like, I'm in 3 leagues. Every single league was just a complete shit show. And I don't even want to talk about it. I hate football now. I still watched it, but I still hate myself because I'm like, this sucks. But congrats to the Lions though. Like the Lions have an offense, like they have a real legitimate offense, and it's like I said before, like I can't name a Commanders cornerback, so I didn't expect them to be that good. But they put up 35 versus the Eagles, like as many points of it as was in garbage times it was, they still scored. And so to go in here and score 36 at home versus, an NFL team, that's still something. And they won. And Jared Goff, he was a number 1 pick. And we might be seeing that again. And if Jared Goff is actually good, that tells you that like the Lions can win like 4 or 5 wins and then go into next offseason and be like, we don't have to invest in a quarterback. We have an above average quarterback. We can either try to replace him with somebody better, probably take a step back in order to take a step forward, or we can invest in other aspects of our football team. And that's kind of where you want to be. You don't want to have to worry about like a quarterback. And I don't even think you'd have to pay Jared Goff a lot. And then you can go get the linebackers that you need. You can go get the extra cornerbacks that you need. You can go get, I don't even think you need any weaponry on offense other than like maybe help on the offensive line because everybody always needs that. But like you got wideouts, you got DeAndre Swift is probably the top 5 like utility back in the whole league, and like Amon-Ra St. Brown is that guy. And if Jared Goff can hold it all together, you got something. It's easy money. You can go out there and, God forbid, like the Lions are bad enough to go get Brock Bowers, but if I can go get Brock Bowers and put him and T.J. Hockenson over there, it's like, oh, I'm gonna hurt people. I'm gonna do damage, and then the Lions. This is probably the most hope the Lions have had in a long time. And that's kind of why I like Dan Campbell, because he exudes hope. And like I said, man, the man cares. You're going to play harder for somebody who cares. That's just a given. Bucks 20, Saints 10. Okay, I didn't know Jameis had a broken back. All right. Dennis Allen, I hope somebody in New Orleans hits you with a baseball bat right in the back, because you shouldn't have let him play. Like, what on earth is that? I saw on Instagram 30 minutes before kickoff, He has 4 different fractures in his back. Like, what are we doing here? Don't play him. He threw 3 picks. One was a pick 6. I don't blame Jameis at all for any of this. If he legitimately had a broken back, like, come on now, like, that is ridiculous. The Bucks offense scares me because they had 3 points up until the fourth quarter. I know they were missing a lot. I know Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore got in this tussle. But, like, their offense is I don't want to call it bleak because it's not healthy. But the fact that it's like 2 strings away from being unhealthy, like, every single week tells me that the offense might be a little bleak. But yeah, if you're the Saints, Dennis Allen, you should be put in jail for getting my guy hurt and ruining his MVP odds. Thank God I didn't put money on that. It was plus 10,000. Like, I think it was plus 10,000. Like, I was gonna put money on that. I'm glad I didn't. Giants 19, Panthers 16. I said before the game started, both these teams suck. All right. But I trust Dable more than I trust Matt Rule. Matt Rule, the smock man, I would have left him in New York. I'd be like, if I was David Tepper, I'd be like, your services are no longer needed, sir. You stay here. We're flying back home. Get your own commercial flight back to Charlotte. Pack your house up. Go back to Baylor. Go to Nebraska. You can go to Nebraska. Have fun. Like, do your thing. You are not built for the NFL, my good man. And it kind of shows because either the Giants are really this team that kind of mucks everything up, or Matt Rule is just not a good coach. And I think both things can be both things can be true. Like, the Giants are like, they're playing muck ball. Like, it's dirty, it's grimy, it's New York. So yeah, if you're the Panthers, I don't even know what the answer is because we don't have enough data points to say that the Giants are actually competent. But I feel like I have enough data points to kind of state that you might not be good, because I didn't really feel like you'd be good, if that makes sense. It was good to see Christian McCaffrey like do well. That's one good thing. Other than that, if you're I don't see any hope for the Panthers. There's some good quarterbacks coming up. Like, C.J. Stroud look probably good in powder blue. Something to look forward to if you're a Carolina Panthers fan. Patriots 17, Steelers 14. Probably the ugliest game in the whole day. Like, Nelson Aguilar had 1 catch that, like, basically changed the whole game. So congrats to Mac Jones for getting a touchdown throw. I don't care. I still think you guys suck. I'm not off that bandwagon. But the Steelers are just like, the Steelers just needed 1 play and it just torpedoed everything. And I feel for them because they're just perpetually hurt. It's not going to get any better. Not anytime soon, at least. But, you know, it was one of those where the dam burst and, you know, they scored. And the dam didn't even burst because they scored 17 points. So, like, you can look at the stats. You're not going to really learn anything. I think both of these teams are just kind of like, yeah, we're just going to try and make it to next year. Although the Steelers always, like, are competitive. The bill comes due eventually for always being competitive. Like, I go back to, like, the San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs have been competitive for, like, 2 decades. And the bill is finally coming due. So the bill comes due eventually. So It's okay. It's okay to have to take a step back in order to take a step forward. It really is fine. Don't be alarmed for either team. Jaguars 24, Colts 0. So, funny thing is, I know nobody heard the podcast. Like, I get it. I'm talking to myself. It's kind of fun, honestly. I looked at the line. I was like, wait, this is in Jacksonville. A lot of weird things happen in Jacksonville, and I brought up last year's Saints Packers game where Aaron Rodgers was just awful, and the Packers just got blown out. Weird things happen in Jacksonville. Like, you go to Florida and weird stuff happens. I don't know if this was weird, but the Colts, oh, Matt Ryan is like, he's done. He's cooked. This was the wrong bet. He is cooked like a well done steak at your favorite steakhouse near Boston College. Like, it is over. It's over, man. And him being like a complete zero, not even, if your quarterback is a complete zero, that is a very significant net negative on your team. And it showed because Jonathan Taylor was not going nowhere. And the difference between a high variance guy like Carson Wentz and a relatively low variance guy like Matt Ryan is that, like, at least with the high variance, there is a higher chance for some juice to flow in the way of points. But there's also, the left-handed interception. That being said, Matt Ryan is just going to throw the blandest of bland interceptions that you've ever seen. And it's just as bad because it's still turnover. And if I don't have to worry about you and your noodle arm trying to make plays, I'm going to put all these players in the box to neutralize this Wisconsin running back. And, yeah, you're going to have to figure it out, buddy. And Michael Pittman's out. So he's not going to really be making contested catches, or anybody on your roster is going to be making contested catches, especially not Molly Cox. Thanks, buddy, for giving me nothing in my fantasy league. That was a really deep league, and it was that's where I ended up. But yeah, yeah, that's what happens. You're gonna look bad, and you played in Florida, and you may just not be good. Like, I give Frank Reich all the credit in the world because I like Frank Reich. I think he turned around a franchise that was like sputtering completely out of control, and he got control right before it sputtered right out of control. And so I give him credit for that. But Chris Ballard, we gotta have to have a conversation about how you evaluate quarterbacks, my guy, because this was not it. Dolphins 42, Ravens 38. So this was the game I watched today, other than the Bengals Cowboys game, which was an abomination to football. I slandered Tua Tagovailoa. He threw the most egregious interception in the first half that I had ever seen. It looked like a punt. And I know people saw it because I laughed harder than I'd ever laughed because it looked like he threw the ball in the air and it was a punt. And then he scored 5 touchdowns. He scored 5 more touchdowns in the second half. And the Ravens scored, they were up but 28-7. And they scored 1 more touchdown. I don't blame Lamar. I think Lamar played his ass off. I think Lamar has gotten significantly better in terms of, like, his throwing. His throwing looks very effortless. And I won't say it looks the same as it always had, but it just looks effortless. It looks like a flick, and it's beautiful, and it gets there, and it doesn't have too much zip, but it has enough zip to get there. And that's all you really need as a quarterback. That secondary was like Swiss cheese. Like the last one where I think they were in a zone and the safety just did not account for Tyreek Hill at all. Tyreek Hill just ran straight, and he just ran through it was like he was running stop signs. He just kept on going, and it was easy. I give Tua credit for the throws that he made, but if the Ravens secondary just paid the hell attention, we would be talking about something totally different. Their secondary was awful, and thanks to them, there's probably going to be an. No, I'm not going to say that. I have a running theory that there's a possibility that if the Ravens win, there's less crime on Sunday nights, and if they lose, there's more. But it's completely unsubstantiated, and I haven't done like the legwork to do it, so I won't even say that. But like, how do you do that? You gave up 6 touchdowns to a guy who can't throw. The only thing he can throw for velocity is quick slants and bubble screens. Like, he can't throw outside the hashes, like, with any type of velocity. But you just, I mean, yeah, he can. I think, okay, the thing with Tua, and it's smart that the Miami Dolphins did this, and I gave them credit this morning for investing in the infrastructure around this quarterback. They went out there and spent money on some guys, and they made it so that though he doesn't have to make contested catch throws anymore. So when I was saying, like, yeah, like, what's the point of having a Devontae Parker, because Tua can't make that throw? And now it's just like, well, it doesn't even matter, because Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are so fast that he doesn't have to make that throw. And if he does need to make whatever throw that is, he'll throw up the seam to Mike Gesicki. Yeah, he'll just throw that, and it's fine. Like, it is totally fine. And Gesicki made, like, the wildest catch I've ever seen. He jumped high as hell and then did a gritty that looks like I did that gritty. Like, I have no rhythm whatsoever. That was the worst gritty I've ever seen in my entire life. and he played basketball, so you know what that means. He played basketball. He was like Travis Kelce, and I feel like Travis Kelce has rhythm, if you know what I know. But, like, I guess Mike Gesicki doesn't. So either way, the Ravens gonna have to figure something out. Like, I don't know what happened there. If they didn't even take their foot off the gas pedal. They just stopped the car and put the emergency brake on. Like, what in the world is going on here that y'all just hemorrhaged points? You hemorrhaged 6 touchdowns to that guy. It's a sad day. Corey, if you hear this, like, I don't want to hear it. Like, you were right. Congratulations. The man scored 6 touchdowns. Whatever. Rams 31, Falcons 27. The Falcons were getting blown the hell out this whole entire game. What on earth happened here? Let me look at the box score in real time. What happened here? Because they were getting, every time I looked at that game, they were getting completely mollywopped. Who are half these people? Oh, so Drake London is actually a guy. Meanwhile, Kyle Pitts gets 2 receptions for 19 yards. Again, that's the second time he's done that. Like, that exact same statistical, like, line. I am not okay with that. So Drake London and Olamide Zaccheaus were good. They had no rushing game at all. Like, nothing about this says comeback. And then Matt Stafford threw 2 interceptions, so that's probably half the battle because it's Matt Stafford. Um, it looks like they botched a punt. It was Brandon Powell. I'm assuming Brandon Powell's the punter. It just seems like a punter name. No, it's a wide receiver. What did he do that he has minus 26 rushing yards? What on earth? Cooper Cup. I know Cooper Cup went off because I played against Cooper Cup in fantasy. Thanks, thanks, Cooper Cup, asshole. Um, the Atlanta Falcons are like the most baffling. They're gonna be the most baffling team we've ever seen because like even like are they just gonna win? Are they gonna lose close games all year? Like is that their destiny to just lose close games? Like and just the most close yet nondescript game. That's the funny part about it. Is just like you can't really point out what happened here. Like Marcus Mariota just doesn't. He's threw for 196 yards. In not your dad's NFL, that's an accomplishment. You should get 200 like straight off the board, and he threw for 196. Um, Congrats to Drake London. He's the rookie that we were just all off of because he was hurt during preseason, and he's a contested catch guy. My only thing is that like Kyle Pitts is a contested catch guy too. Like, are they just not putting him in position to succeed? Like, can he just play like they can have two X's and one can be on one side and one can be on the other? Like, Arthur Smith is smart, man. Like, and he wants to do this because his dad owns FedEx. So he was born with a rhodium spoon in his mouth. So he wants to do this. But like, help my man out, Art. Like, please. Like, he was good last year. Help my dog out. The Rams, I can't even call it a get right game because they didn't cover. Then again, I didn't expect them to cover because 10 points is a lot of points. I would have never taken that line. But, they won. Counts for something. Matt Stafford, his elbow feels good enough to, like, make the throws, so that's good. So maybe it gets better. Maybe it doesn't. 49ers 27, Seahawks 7. Trey Lance did not play that much, and he got hurt, and then Jimmy G came in, and Jimmy G seems like an improvement because he's an adult and Trey Lance is a child, and that's how it was always going to be that. I think the 49ers got a little impatient because they used the number 3 pick to draft him, which, I mean, I get it. I'd probably be impatient too. That's the reason why Zach Wilson's out there. That's the reason Trev's out there. You're not going to let that guy sit. That's draft capital. And that rookie scale slot is a lot of money in the first round. So got to utilize that talent. I don't blame them for that. The Seahawks, like I said, man, last week was their Super Bowl. They are good. They can lose the next 6 games in a row by like significant margins. And guess what? We beat Russell Wilson. That's all that matters. Their offense is anemic as hell. And it wasn't good during the Broncos game either. So I don't expect their offense to get any better. I don't think Shane Waldron is the best offensive coordinator. Either that or he doesn't have his personnel. That's what they're always going to say. They don't have their personnel to run the system that they want to, but he may just not be good at this. Either that or Pete Carroll is running the offense, and we all know damn well Pete Carroll, old antiquated ass, ain't good at this either. So if you're a Seahawks fan, you beat Russell Wilson. That's all that matters. Cowboys 20, Bengals 17. The Bengals are in a champagne stupor from making the Super Bowl. Super Bowls might be the most overrated metric to ever compare anything to. If you made the Super Bowl, if you won a Super Bowl, there is so much variance in a Super Bowl because anything can happen on any given Sunday. The Bengals, I don't know if they're good or not. I can't tell. And we all knew Zach Taylor was not a good coach, and they still paid that guy because he made the Super Bowl. You kind of have to pay him because he made the Super Bowl. I still wouldn't have paid him. I would have gave him a 1-year deal. I wouldn't even call it an extension. I would be like, here's a 1-year contract. That's it. I don't trust you at all. You have to know that. That Super Bowl might have been a complete anomaly. And we might look back at it 10 years later and be like, how in all of the hell did they make the Super Bowl? Their offense looked bleak. It looked bleak up until the point where like Joe Burrow led this. It was a rough drive, and T. Higgins scored the touchdown, and Tyler Boyd got the 2-point conversion. It was a nice catch by T. Higgins. The Bengals might be overrated. Their defense looked bleak. Cooper Rush kind of carved them up, and that's Cooper Rush. It doesn't help my is Dak elite thing. I don't think Dak is elite. I don't think Dak. I don't want to disrespect nobody, but I would put Dak and Russell Wilson in the same conversation that we would need to have, because I don't know if either one of them are the reason that you win. They're a contributor to winning, and that's fine. But when you don't have the surrounding talent to help contribute to winning as well, because you took all of the money for your quarterback contract, then we got to start blaming you. So Cooper Rush led them to a win. It was inspiring because it was Cooper Rush and it was a win. But if you watched the game, it wasn't the most inspiring football you ever watched. That's all I'll say. I like Noah Brown. Noah Brown's pretty cool. Like, he's pretty good. I like him. Tony Pollard sitting on my bench. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it. Broncos 16, Texans 10. I said earlier, if Russell Wilson is this elite guy, he needs to cover the point spread. He did not cover the point spread. However, I did say if he lost this game in altitude at home, then we would have to have a real conversation about how good he is. He won the game. He scored 16 points. The score was 6. Actually, no, the score was 9-6 going into the fourth. They were losing going into the fourth in altitude. That's probably the only reason they won. Is because eventually you get tired because you're playing in a separate altitude. That's probably the only reason they won. Do they need time to gel? Probably. Are we going to overreact until like week 5? Maybe they'll figure it out. Maybe they won't. But I'm on this other side where I don't think they were going to ever be that good. And we are slowly learning that they won't be 4th place in the division because the Raiders are morons. But, like, they might be 3rd, and they may be out of the playoffs. Their offense looks relatively bleak, although the Russell Wilson, the Cortland Sutton thing looks like it's finally going to work, even though that's the only thing he can throw. So, by default, it had to work. But Russell Wilson is not playing inspiring football, and we'll have to look at that going forward. Thursday night's game, Chargers, Chiefs 27, Chargers 24. That was a really good game. My guy Herbo is a warrior. I don't care what nobody says. That man has broken ribs or messed up cartilage in his ribs, and he threw a dime. The Chiefs, I wouldn't even know how to describe their win, because I still think the Chargers are more talented. They have the players to do it. It's just all a little bit new. But they also did not invest any money in their offense the way that the Chiefs did. And that might just be the difference maker. They're going to play again. They're going to play in LA. This should be a good game as well. But yeah, the Chiefs won. They won by 3. They won at home. They won in prime time. I didn't expect them to lose that game. I, like I said, man, I expected them to win by a bigger margin, and they almost did. If not for Herbo being a complete warrior, but it was a great game, and I can't wait for them to play again. They're both going to dominate that division now because it looks like they're going to create that separation because it's going to be the Broncos in third, and the Broncos are mid, and then the Raiders might be mid, but they also might be mediocre mid. So, yeah. So now the Packers and the Bears are playing. I'm not gonna watch that. I am gonna take a break because that game just doesn't seem like fun to watch either. But yeah, I'll probably catch you guys sometime next week, hopefully like Friday, Saturday time, and we'll go through week 3 slates. I'm thinking about doing other stuff that I think about as well. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. But until then, have a fun Sunday, rest of your Sunday, slash going into Monday and having to go back to work, which sucks. I get it. But peace.